Hi, and welcome back to Growing with Grace, the webcast and podcast series. Thank you for being here today, and I am excited to announce my guest today. His name is Drew Powers. Drew is a financial advisor, very, very well equipped to take care of dentists and people in the dental profession. So, Drew, thanks so much for being with me today.
Oh, thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
So tell us about Ventu and kind of what led you to creating this company.
Sure. So Ventu Financial Advisors is a registered investment advisory. And we are, I think where we're most different is that we are completely independent. We don't work for an investment firm. We don't get paid differently one way or another. And that's the same with our insurance products as well. We also specialize in planning. And at this point, I think at least 80 to 90% of our clients are medical or dental professionals.
Great. What made you want to focus primarily on the medical and dental space?
Yeah, it's an exciting group to work with. They coming out of training, right? They haven't made a lot of money and they have a lot of debt. And then right away, they get a contract that pushes them above, just their own earnings, probably 2, 3, 4 times the average household in the United States. So all of a sudden they have this big income that they've never had before. A lot of dentists, dental specialists become practice owners very quickly. So now, in addition to being, a medical dental professional, you're also a small business owner, and yourself, right? That poses its own special, unique challenges. So it's a really fun group to work with in that regard.
That's great. So you saw the demand, you saw the need, and wanted to provide a service. That's great. So we were talking a little bit about what information we wanted to share before getting on the call today. And we were talking a little bit about the difference between being an independent financial advisor and not being an independent provider, and kind of how this gray space has been created in the profession. So talk to me a little bit about that. I want to paint a really clear picture for the dentists watching, because I want them to know what questions to ask so that they know that they're getting truly unbiased guidance from their advisor.
Sure.
So tell me a little bit, what is an independent advisor? What is a non-independent advisor? And then how did the gray space come about?
Right. So traditionally, I think we had brokers or agents who worked for a specific investment company or insurance company. And it was very simple. If the name on the card was a name you'd seen on a billboard or on TV, that's who that person worked for. And it was very simple to say, hey, she works for company X, he works for company Y, I know what I'm getting. As time went on, then there was this gray space that was created where my health benefits as an employee of insurance company X were all tied to my production with insurance company X. And once I had shown a client or prospective client insurance company X's product, then I was free to show other companies. But I may be compensated very differently with the other companies versus my, the home team, so to speak.
Okay. So now you have an independent who can offer multiple solutions, but whoever's giving them the biggest cut is going to be just a natural preference for people that are money motivated, right? To recommend what's going to be in their best interest, right?
Right. So if you're truly independent, like we are, others are, the compensation that you receive between different insurance companies is very minimal. It may be just a point or two here or there. what I'm talking about when I say, that gray space is that someone may be being paid twice as much to sell the company that they work for versus an outside company. So they claim independence, but really there's an internal bias there because they're getting paid much differently.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Okay.
And have you seen anyone that really clearly works for a particular organization, but has branded, and don't say any names, but has branded themselves as because marketing plays a role in this too, right? I mean, if you just come up with a business name, you brand yourself as an independent, it would take a lot of work to really uncover if that person was truly independent.
Yeah, it does. It does. So a lot of times you'll see somebody who looks, feels, and sounds independent, and may even act in such a way that they are, but somewhere on their website or on their business card, there is a disclosure that says, securities and financial advice provided by someone other than them.
Okay.
And you might have to kind of dig around and Google around to say, oh, this securities firm is owned by this insurance company. So this person is really an employee. Mm-hmm. And still has that same internal bias. They may be, recommending and using other carriers, but they still get paid differently when they're using their own insurance products or their own investments.
Mm-hmm. And so there are a lot of people out there that will look at this and say, well, okay, a small point here or there, it doesn't sound like a lot, but how much am I actually paying when I have investments through a financial advisor versus if I were to do things on my own? I know I personally don't have the knowledge or the confidence in the financial and investment side of things to not have an advisor. But I know a lot of people that do think like that. What advice would you give to those people?
I think that when it comes to your investments, you should be looking for fee-based solutions where I am very clearly defining a dollar amount or a percentage of your account that I am charging you every year, and that somewhere in that paperwork there is a disclosure that says this is the only fee that you're paying me, right? So for instance, if I'm charging you 1% or I'm charging you $5,000, right, that should be very clear and spelled out. There may be some other fees, but again, those should be transparent and presented to you ahead of time. Mm-hmm. I don't personally, as a registered investment advisor, I do not accept commissions on investment products. And I think that really eliminates the conflict of interest. I get paid the same amount, whether you make a trade or you don't. Once I'm getting commissions, now it's incumbent on you to make a trade before I get paid. Mm-hmm. Right? Change an investment, buy a new mutual fund. And if I'm coming to you with advice, am I coming to you with that advice because it really is the best thing for you, or because I need a new commission that month? Mm-hmm. So I think really on your investments, you're looking for somebody who is fee only or fee based. We are fee based.
Okay, that makes sense. And what about the person who thinks that they can do it their own, and maybe they're managing, let's say, a practice that's producing over $1 million a year? What would you tell those people?
Right. So, it comes down to specialization and experience, and maybe a little kind of a personal or emotional factor. So if you have $1 million practice and you have $1 million portfolio, right, investment portfolio, and I charge you 1%, that's $10,000. Think of all of the time a dentist is going to have to take to manage their investments. And the market is open at the same time their practice is open. So when they want to make changes, they need to step away from a patient or do it between patients. I think it would be way easier for most of your dentists to make another $10,000 in their own practice, right? And I know your results, you know, $1 million practice, they're probably going to see multiples of that 10,000, right? Working with proper marketing and you know, any other way they can find to make their practice more efficient. So I think that there's this
you're really
value.
The time analysis. You're not sitting here saying like, it's not your expertise necessarily. Maybe you could do it. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt and say that they could do it. Is it really going to be the highest and best use of their time, even if they do feel confident in their skills? And what I would add to that is, just because you feel confident in something doesn't necessarily mean that you're the best person to be advising yourself in these situations.
Right. Let's assume, right, dentists, physicians, they were the smartest, highest achieving, right, throughout high school and college, and you know, went through all this extra training. They're smart enough, but they don't have the training. You know, I showed you, I had some stuff here on my desk, right? I showed you in the last year, right? Here's 1,200 pages of training I've had just in IRAs and qualified retirement plans. There's no way any of your dentists have done this, right? So there is an expertise factor, but then the emotional factor too. There was one famous investment company who were the first to say, hey, just do it on your own. You don't need a high-priced broker, right? Just do it on your own. What they found was once the accounts got up to about 250, 300,000, right? And the market moves 10% in a week, these people were freaking out and needed someone to talk to. So there's also an emotional disconnect. When you have whatever money you have, you're emotionally tied to your money, because it's not just numbers on a paper. That represents your retirement fund, your boat, your kids' education, whatever it ends up being. I don't have an emotional tie to your money. I can take a step back and look at the big picture, you know, and make what I like to think is a more calm, rational decision, not an emotional decision.
It's funny you say this, and I'm going to go like off track a little bit because I think it's an important point to acknowledge. I had this really big life decision to make, and I was so on the fence that it was a daily, like, dear God conversation, tell me what to do, because I'm so 50-50. And I read somewhere in difficult decision making, if you remove all the fear from the process and you remove your emotion from the process, a lot of times it'll help you feel better about the decision that you make. And I thought it was interesting advice. At the same time, I thought it was extremely unrealistic, because it's not humanly possible, because the fear, that's there for a reason. There's a purpose in that, you know. But I think it's interesting to be able to have somebody who's not emotionally tied to these decisions to be able to help you. And let's face it, if I could calculate all the hours of wasted production and time from dentists in making a decision or being in that indecisive place where no movement happens because you get stuck in your own mind. And it's kind of a lonely, like, owner doctor, single practitioner, it's kind of a lonely place to be, because you really don't have anyone a lot of times that can help you get out of your head.
Right.
And the time that you have to actually process is often not ideal for other people to, like, do business. It's usually like when you're finally not seeing patients, or when you finally don't have team members around. So I've always been a very big advocate for having the right advisors on your team, no matter what business you're in. And a financial advisor is one of those advisors that I feel people should have. So
I agree.
Yeah. And I'm very biased in this opinion, but I see a lot of really tragic do-it-yourself marketing. And I'm like, what are you leaving on the table? And I think it's the same
Right.
thing with the financial side. It's like, you might be doing a great job based on what you know, but what are you missing? What are you leaving on the table?
Right.
So, when's a good time to engage a financial advisor? When are people usually, this is like really top of mind? Because things usually have to happen before people go, oh, I need to change this, or I need to, engage this person or do this thing.
Right. I don't think it's really ever too early. I work with a lot of, graduating residents. It's a great time to scoop up your disability using the resident discount. It's a great time to get a handle on the debt that you have and the huge influx of income you're going to have, right? A dental resident who moonlights and gets paid a small stipend might make 20 grand in a year. And all of a sudden they sign a contract and they're making 250. That's a big jump.
Yeah.
You're going to make in a month what you made all year last year. Maybe we need some, if not a formal paid financial plan, at least we need some kind of strategy to deal with all of this. So the earlier, the better. I get a lot of panicked phone calls from, existing dentists who say, I'm buying a new practice and my loan requires that I have $1 million in life insurance. Can we get this done in a week? And I don't know, right? How healthy are you, right? It could take a week. It could take 8 weeks. It could take 12 weeks. I don't know. So, just being prepared for things like that ahead of time, working with an advisor who works in the dental and medical space, who can tell you up front, let's get $1 million of insurance because you're going to buy a practice in 2 or 3 years, and we'll have it set. Little things like that. So the earlier, the better.
Awesome. Okay. That makes perfect sense. And it answers my question very well. Drew, before we wrap up, is there anything else you want to touch on or talk about in terms of Ventu and what you do there?
Sure. So, not only are we independent, but I know that I can't know everything. I can't be an expert in everything. I think that's another thing you find a lot in the financial industry is that, oh, well, we're all the smartest guys in the room, just ask us. I know that I can't know everything. So, I'm paying a hefty tuition and I go to 3-day seminars, right, to go through these manuals. When I'm looking for investment resources, right, I use my custodians, multiple custodians, big names that you've seen. I don't want to mention names at the moment, but big names, big investment companies to act as custodian. I can go to them for more product and market knowledge. When you're getting a life insurance policy through me and Ventu, we actually have a general agency that we go through who all they do is life insurance and they are awesome at it. When we get a disability policy, it's a different general agency and that's all they do is disability and they are awesome at it. Same for long-term care, same for other product lines. So, to any extent possible, we're a small firm, a couple of partners, a couple of, assistants in the office. But we've got this huge team behind us who's really helping us stay on top of everything that we're going to need to be.
Awesome. Very good. Well, Drew, how would someone get in contact with you if they were interested in learning more about you or your services at Ventu?
Sure. So easy to email me, drew@ventufa.com. Phone number is 855-VENTU. And of course, we chose this, random mountain in the south of France, so it's a weird spelling.
I would have helped you with the branding on that had we met sooner. No. So let's spell it out.
Yeah, it's VENTOUX.
Awesome.
And,
wonderful. Yeah, well, Thank you all for being a part of Dentistry's Growing with Grace podcast. I look forward to sharing more helpful information with you to help you grow your practice. And Drew, thanks for being here. I hope you have a great day.
Oh, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.